Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
I turned the key over in my hand again, pressing its jagged edge into my thumb as if I needed proof it was real. The notary seal hasn't dried on the documents yet. After 9 years of saving, double shifts at the clinic, tutoring on weekends, living on instant noodles and anxiety, I finally had something that was mine. My house. I stepped up to the door, heart hammering harder than it should have. The porch was bare, the paint a little chipped, but the light above the doorway flickered to life when I touched the switch. That was enough. I pushed the key into the lock. It clicked. Inside, the air was cool and hollow. The living room smelled like fresh plaster and sawdust. A single chair waited in the corner, the only piece of furniture I'd managed to bring on move-in day. I dropped my keys in a little dish and laughed out loud, a breathless, stunned laugh that cracked into tears halfway through. I was 33 and alone. But for the first time, I didn't feel behind. I felt free. The moment shattered when my phone buzzed. A message from Mom, no greeting. Just, Gemma's being evicted. She'll stay with you. Make space. I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered over the keyboard before I typed. No, she's not moving in. I didn't buy a house to raise my sister. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, I'm grateful. After everything we did for you. I barely had time to respond before a photo popped up on social media. Gemma, grinning wide, standing in front of my porch with her arms thrown up like she just won a prize. Can't wait to move into my new house, sis came through after all. I didn't even know she knew the address. That night, I heard a car outside. I peeked through the blinds. My parents were in the driveway. I stepped outside, phone in hand. You can't just show up here. Dad didn't move. Let her in, Rachel. She has nowhere to go. She has had nowhere to go for years, and that's never been my fault. She's your sister, Mom snapped. You owe us a lot. No, I don't. I don't know any of you. You think you got that house on your own, she shouted, stepping forward. You think we didn't sacrifice? All the nights we stayed up with you, the school fees, the hospital bills? That wasn't free. I blinked. You're joking. Her voice dropped low and final. You'll hear from our lawyer. The envelope arrived 3 days later, thick, cream-colored, and hand-delivered to my mailbox with no return address. I opened it slowly, hands trembling. Inside, a legal complaint. My parents were suing me for $430,000. I sank onto the hallway floor as my eyes scanned the text. For reimbursement of all costs related to the defendant's upbringing, medical treatment, housing, education, and emotional labor accrued from 1991 to present. At the bottom, in neat legal type, requested remedy, immediate transfer of real property to the plaintiff's younger daughter, Gemma Charlotte Evans. I couldn't breathe. I called my mother. She answered on the second ring. Mom, what the hell is this? You didn't leave us a choice, she said calmly, like she was discussing weather. You owe us, Rachel, and Gemma has nowhere to live. You're demanding nearly $500,000 from your daughter just because she bought a house. No, she snapped, because we made you who you are. Because we sacrificed. Your father sold his boat. I worked nights. You were born premature, remember? You almost died. You think that hospital bill paid itself. I clutched the edge of the counter to stay upright. You've never mentioned any of this until now. Well, it's time to pay us back. Click. I stared at the silent phone. They were serious. And Gemma, her posts were multiplying. A selfie with sunglasses in my backyard. Just soaking up the sun at my new place #thanks is #family first. I met with a legal advisor, expecting her to laugh it off. She didn't. They're framing this as a contract, an implied obligation based on upbringing, she said, flipping through the documents. It's ridiculous, but they filed it properly. You'll need to appear in court. I nodded, numb. I'll represent myself. She blinked. Are you sure? I stood. They want $430,000 in blood. I'll give them my voice instead. The courtroom was colder than I expected, not in temperature, but in atmosphere. My parents sat on the opposite bench, Gemma between them, chewing gum with theatrical indifference. My mother wore a pale suit, too formal, too tight. My father didn't look at me. The judge, a woman with sharp eyes and a tired mouth, shuffled the papers before her. Evans v. Evans, she said. Let's begin. They went first. Their lawyer, a silver-haired man with a voice like syrup, painted my childhood as a luxury cruise. Private tutors, a lie. Exotic vacations, one rainy trip to Cornwall, and constant financial bleeding. She would not be standing here today, a homeowner at 33, if not for the relentless sacrifices of her parents, he said. Therefore, it is only just she supports the sibling who has not yet had her turn. My parents nodded solemnly. Gemma crossed her arms, bored. When it was my turn, I stood slowly. I'd like to represent myself, Your Honor. A flicker of surprise crossed the judge's face. I continued. I bought that house with 9 years of savings from 2 jobs. I never asked for help. I paid rent since I was 19, supported myself through uni, and bought my own medication after Mom stopped covering prescriptions when I turned 18. I handed over a folder, bank statements, pay stubs, my mortgage agreement, and a receipt for my very first paycheck, £97 and 62 pence earned cleaning offices. The judge skimmed. Then, and these documents showing the plaintiff's purchased medication. They're for Gemma, I said. She had asthma. Mom just added them to my name for the tax credit. Silence. Then Gemma, too loud, blurted. This is just revenge because I'm younger and better looking. My mother hissed, Gemma, sit down. The judge sighed. I've heard enough. She set down the papers with a soft thud that felt like thunder. This is not a court of moral debts. There is no legal basis for a claim of retroactive parenting fees. This case is dismissed. My parents froze. Gemma stood up, red-faced. So what now? I'm homeless? The judge raised an eyebrow. Then perhaps it's time to get a job. The gavel hit the wood. Their house of cards collapsed with a single blow. 3 months passed. The dust of court had settled, but the whispers hadn't. After the trial, their fury had found a new stage. My parents gave an emotional interview on a local radio show, calling me cold-hearted and calculating. Gemma launched a Facebook campaign with a dramatic selfie and the caption, "She stole my future." The post exploded. But so did the truth. Cousin Iris reposted with screenshots of Gemma's unpaid credit card bills. Uncle Martin commented, "Rachel bought her house. Fair and square." One by one, relatives began speaking up, stories of favoritism, unpaid loans, and birthday parties where my name was barely mentioned. Their social media company backfired. My parents' tearful posts grew more desperate. Gemma's Facebook updates grew crueler, like digital tantrums. But the comments stopped. One by one, relatives and friends blocked them, cutting them off, severing the last ties. The quiet around them wasn't support, it was rejection. One morning, while sipping tea on my porch, I spotted a familiar figure across the road. Gemma, hair tied back sloppily, face blotchy, dragging a trash bag behind her. Her cafe uniform clung to her like a punishment. Cheap cotton, coffee-stained, wrinkled from fatigue. She didn't notice me. Or maybe she did and just didn't care anymore. Later that day, I stepped into Cafe Amour, needing a moment away from screens filled with her venomous posts. Gemma stood behind the counter, tapping the register with a forced smile for an old man counting coins. When she saw me, her expression cracked. "You shouldn't be here," she muttered, eyes narrowing. "It's a free country," I replied coolly, "and I like their scones." She leaned in. "You ruined me, Rachel." I raised an eyebrow. "No, Gemma, you just ran out of people to blame." She said nothing, just wiped her hands on that same stained apron, her pride sinking into the seams. As I walked out, a woman near the door whispered to her companion, "Isn't that the sister who won the case?" The bitterness in Gemma's eyes could have curdled milk. Their campaign had collapsed, but now they had nowhere to hide. The envelope arrived on a Tuesday. No sender, just my name and my mother's stiff, looping script. It lay like a wound on my welcome mat. Inside was a single page, no apology, no explanation. Just a printout of a family photo, the one from Gemma's 18th birthday. I was cropped out. On the back, in blue ink, "You chose a house over us. Don't come back." I stood motionless in the hallway, the paper trembling slightly in my hands, not from fear, not even sadness, but clarity. That night, I hosted dinner for Aunt Lynette and my cousin Drew, 2 of the few who had stood by me during the trial. Laughter danced in my kitchen, echoing off the freshly painted walls. No judgment, no strings. I saw your mother at the pharmacy, Aunt Lynette said, pouring wine. She looked right through me. I smiled faintly. I suppose silence is cheaper than admitting you were wrong. Drew passed me a slice of pie. Still, must sting. I folded the envelope and tucked it into the drawer with my old utility bills. Not anymore, I said. This house has a soul now, and none of them live in it. Outside, the porch light blinked on as dusk settled. Peace, at last, had a name. It was mine.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.